Welcome to Inkpulp Audio, everybody. I'm excited. I have the Moss Babies with me today. I have Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad. Say hi, Becky.
Hey, Becky.
Say hi, Michael.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So we're going to be talking and we're going to be drawing. Becky, what are you going to be working on today?
I am working on a cover, but I don't think this project has been announced, so it's a secret project.
Okay.
So you guys can just watch me draw a secret cover project.
What about?
I mean, I don't know. I just feel bad, you know.
No, don't. I don't want you announcing anything. I mean,
okay.
Mateo was kind of in the same situation as you with what he was doing, so we don't need to spoil anything. Michael, what are you doing?
Oh, I don't want to announce it.
Stop making
you
fun
just
of
want
me.
to say that, don't you?
It's kind of this is really important. I'm just screwing around with there's a thing going on. I don't know who started it. Let me see. Somebody made a template. I don't know. Somebody made a template for this thing where it's like draw 6 fan art things. So I've just been like kind of to get out of my own head a little bit. I've been enjoying trying to do like one of these a day.
All right,
like
good.
one set of 6. So yeah,
Okay,
it's a
cool.
good.
All right, so we're gonna talk about all that. I'm gonna switch my camera and my mic over to my art table. So I'm just doing this Constantine commission.
Whoa, what?
Mic is
that?
Okay, I'm
working on over here.
Okay. Hello.
There we go. So this is gonna work for now. I have my phone resting in a giant Modoc coffee cup.
Which is awesome. It looks fine. This will all be great. So I kind of like for my last season of this podcast, I did like a trip where I went to Portland and I did like a GoFundMe, and it was getting hard to record podcasts while I was at cons. I was getting busy. Everyone was getting busy. Cons have become so long and exhausting.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be good to take a trip just for the podcast. So that went well, and I loved it. And I was trying to figure out what to do for this year. And as I was going to do like Toronto and Montreal, I thought, and right before I was making plans to do that, this thing hit. And it kind of took away any travel options. But this whole idea opened up to me because we started streaming with like Essential Sequential. And I was like, maybe this will be a good reason, because I never do the podcast over the internet and I've never had video. But
every time we've done it, it's been live. You're really good.
I only did it
that.
live, and I that's because I want I feel like my podcast is really about capturing like true, intimate, connected conversation.
Yeah.
And over the internet, that's a very difficult thing to do. But these circumstances have kind of lent themselves to some limitations that I have creative solutions I have found for. So that's why I'm doing it this way.
Are you going to have to call it Inkpulp video now?
Well, my
I'm joking.
guy did make his title screen was Inkpulp audio video. But I can't like totally rebrand it, so I don't know.
I'm joking.
I'm making it up as I go along.
I like it.
So the sort of first bit of every conversation has been very much about how what's going on is affecting you, and then we can talk about how it's affecting comics and all that jazz. But what's it been like for you guys? How's it affected you? What's been going on?
Well, we're kind of lucky that we're work from home people.
Right.
So in that respect, like generally the schedule hasn't been like too changed around. Of course, at first, I'll speak for myself first, that I've been working from home for so long that I have a good routine down. So that's been helpful. But when this all really started to hit the fan, it was really distracting. It was hard to get in a full day's work, and it was hard to feel like being creative or drawing. Even drawing was hard, even if it's like, this is a thing that I know how to do, but sitting down and wanting to draw something when you're just not feeling good, is really difficult.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling that. That's been a really hard thing. Is it just the like the air, like the darkness of everything that's going on, you think?
Yeah, it's distracting for sure. A lot of our friends here in Austin have been laid off, and out of work, so it's affected people that we know, and the more this goes on, the more it's gonna, detrimentally affect people that so it's for me, that's difficult. And just reading the news and seeing how it's just frustrating,
Yeah,
It's hard to even talk about because I feel like everybody knows what I'm trying to say or what I want to say.
yeah,
I don't know if I have the words to like express it really, but it's just, I feel very lucky that, most of the jobs that I'm working on are still going on.
right,
So I've been
right.
able to have work during this period.
Yeah, because people are getting that call to put your pencil down and stop working.
Yeah.
That's a scary, scary thing. Has it? But yeah, so the emotional aspect is definitely taking its toll on my productivity. I feel like I'm giving it all I have, and all I'm able to give is 70% of what I normally give at best.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat where it's, I'm not working as, like, even if I'm at my desk for the same amount of hours, I'm not getting as much done because there's that constant, like, checking the news.
Right, right. Are you
Or just
checking the
like
news
being,
all day?
oh yeah, like all day. It's ridiculous. It's like unhealthy, because
Yeah,
nothing's changing. It's just
right,
like
right.
you find out, oh my God, there's like 4 more people in our zip code that have corona. It's like all these spring breakers came back, and like now it's Austin just had like a big boom, which is not, I mean, the only thing that we can do about it is just, try to be safe and encourage other people to do the same. And
Right, right. Did that happen? A bunch of spring breakers came back and
yeah, it made the news here. It was like they all went down and then they came back and a bunch of them tested positive.
are
It
you
was like,
serious?
what? Yeah, like, what are you
Oh my
doing,
God, I
guys?
didn't know
Yeah,
that. That is awful.
yeah,
Yeah, I
college
mean
kids.
when I saw footage of them down there, it was like, what are they doing?
Yeah, yeah, it was ridiculous. I
And what
mean, that was
about
the difficulty with like, canceling Emerald City. I know it was like that was when we started really like, I don't know, like people were taking it seriously before that, but I think in the comics community when that happened and Emerald City got canceled, it was like, okay,
yeah, that's when it hit me too. Um, have you so other than like the emotional stress and uncertainty, has it affected you like in any other ways financially or anything?
Not financially yet. No, we'll see.
I feel like for me, this, like I'm in a different in a
Yeah,
different in a different situation than Becky, where I'm newer to the industry. I'm like an unknown quantity to a lot of people, and I was kind of in the process of building up ties and working on selling some projects, and it's really unfortunate and disappointing, to not only to have those opportunities kind of dry up in the space of a handful of weeks, but also to not even have the opportunity to properly mourn that, because I'm too concerned about the well-being of the world. Like, I don't have time to kind of lick my wounds and feel sad about, oh, like, I'm not going to get an image book this year kind of thing.
Right.
And instead, you know, it would be inappropriate for me to come on here and be all sad about that kind of thing. You know, thinking, oh, my career as a comic writer is going to become easier this year. You know, that's not really the type of person that I don't want to come off as that person. But I'd be lying if I said that that wasn't like a big part of my personal narrative right now.
Yeah, but
Which is,
I think it's important to talk about your personal narrative. I mean, this thing came out and just affected us all. It's not like it's affecting just everyone else and not you. And I mean, careers are a big part of our lives. And
yeah.
this thing really uprooted, just blindsided us.
On the same hand, I think it's really been kind of important and empowering for people like me who kind of my default is to just do everything on my own anyway.
Right, right.
So seeing the world be like, hey, this is going to be critical, especially in this industry. It's going to be critical to be able to be that type of person, to be a self-starter, to be
right.
willing to stick your neck out there and try some things. And
Yes.
and you know, for me, I was hoping to kind of move away from that a little bit, but if self-publishing and doing my thing is kind of what I'm going to be looking at, that's really no different from the lifestyle that I had before. So
Right. I mean, this for
I
me.
just hope economically the world is in a good enough place for people to still be able to enjoy. You know, people aren't going to have a ton of spending money. I hope they still got a couple bucks to be able to enjoy the stuff that they're passionate about, like comics. I know we're facing really dark economic times, so I don't mind if people gotta drop off and get their money right for a second. That's
Sure.
it's kind of par for the course, as it were.
Yeah, but I also think, or I hope that what we offer, like at minimal, can give people nice distraction from all the hardships of this, and
That's
maybe,
the hope, right? Is that
yeah, that's the hope.
people like to minimize the role of entertainment as being like, oh, it's a distraction and stuff like that. But I think there's also a spiritual quality to being able to imagine and still dream even in the face of hardship. So I really hope that people you know, kind of keep that in mind. Like, don't beat up on yourself because you're watching extra Netflix or something like that. Like, you gotta keep imagining any, like, I don't know. I remember 9/11, and I remember you know, our president at the time being like, hey, we gotta like get back out there and keep living life. And I didn't like that president one bit, which is kind of, you know, seems like it's been the standard of my life, is I've never really loved the president, although Barack was pretty cool. So I think like part of it is gonna be like, yeah, just keep doing the stuff that you love, whether it's creating comics, reading comics, watching TV, playing music. I love what's going on in social media. I love, like, friends of mine have been like, oh, I'm just gonna fire up Instagram Live and I'm gonna like play some of my favorite songs and stuff. That's the future of entertainment. Stuff like this is the future of entertainment. It's gonna be
Go ahead.
it's gonna be more peer-to-peer. It's gonna be people making stuff for like-minded people. And shoot, that sounds pretty good to me. I grew up into punk rock and hardcore and stuff like that, and that's what it was all about. It was no one in the mainstream is making the type of music I want to hear, so I'm just gonna form my own dumb band and do it myself. And I think that's really cool.
I agree. I mean, like you said, this is pushing you back to the idea of self-publishing. I feel like it's pushing me back or me towards that as well. But that's my roots. I grew up on the same stuff. I was alternative culture, punk, hardcore, metal, hip hop, skateboarding, outsider art. So it's definitely like kind of sparked a lot of creativity. Like there's for me, I've noticed a lot of positives in my life from it. One of which is like you were mentioning also, uh, I'm feeling more connected to people. I'm spending more time. Like I'm recording this now, but we're hanging out and talking. And even when I'm not recording episodes, I've been doing this with friends and just trying to do it more and more. I mean, it's like we're all going through this tragedy, but it's pulling us together in some ways too.
It's I feel like, maybe by being into outsider stuff, we've got a head start on the world, and I don't see that as like this big advantage, because I don't see art as a competition. I see it as my opportunity to share the things that I've learned over the course of my life and the type of lifestyle that I've led. I can, hopefully share with people kind of how it's worked for me. And it is going to potentially create a different type of community, and hopefully a more compassionate community, hopefully a community where a lot of the toxic cruelty that we've seen people putting on each other online, hopefully some of that will change and we'll become more sensitive. And I love that people are holding each other accountable and stuff like that, with regard to how they engage with the world. But I think we need to work as a community a little bit on helping people and less on chastising people.
Yeah.
Like I think we can get to a better place, and I'm hoping that this is if there's one silver lining to this, it'll be that we try and keep in mind anybody can go at any time.
Right.
Anybody can get, like I was saying to Becky for a few days early on in this thing, I was like, man, just wait until somebody that we know goes.
I know.
And now we're getting really close. Like there's celebrities every day now who, like, maybe people that weren't super on my radar, but
Right.
I guess like one of the singer songwriters or something from a band called Fountains of Wayne died the other day, and I wasn't familiar with that band, but it's like, okay, now we're getting to a place where it's not just some mysterious person off in Asia died.
Right.
It's, which there's, that's not to discount the value of their life, but it's, you're going to understand the nature of this disease when it starts taking from you people that you weren't expecting, and younger people, like this isn't just like, okay, we're going to get rid of all the old people and then have this utopian world. No, that's not how it works. And I'm not against, I'm not one of those okay boomer types. I disagree with that. I think like people of all ages have potential value.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think that there's I don't think that this thing is cute. I try and approach it with a degree of levity, because we've got no other choice but to do that. It's like in Old Boy, how it says like, cry and you cry alone, laugh and the world laughs with you. I try and like keep that in mind as I'm going through my day. Like, hey man, quit. Becky asked me this morning how I was doing. No, she asked if I was happy, and I was like, I'm usual. And she said, so you're not happy? It's like, I was like, that's like the type of person that I've become, is like somebody who's like generally, like, my stasis is not happy. Like, what am I not happy about? I write comic books for a living. I live with my best friend and the person that I love.
Right.
And right now, like, I'm lucky that we are quarantined together. I'm lucky to have somebody that I trust and can care about and can be completely upfront and honest with. There's people right now who are stuck quarantining with people that they don't care about. There are
Yeah,
people that
I was talking to, I forget who it was. Oh, I was talking to Jeff DeCal, and his buddy has a roommate who he doesn't really know. Like they just sort of share a room together. And he's like, his buddy's roommate keeps going out and coming, like just going out, and it's freaking his buddy out. Like this strange guy he lives with keeps going outside and doing things, and who knows what he's bringing home.
right? Like, that's disrespectful, and
Yeah,
it can be really hard to explain to somebody, hey, like, every time you go out, you're potentially bringing home something that's gonna kill me.
right,
Like,
right.
don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think, I think there's, I don't know if it's denial or just the fact, like you were saying, it hasn't hit close enough to a lot of people, but there just seems to be this, like, I still hear people saying, like, this isn't really anything to worry about. It's media hype. And
Yeah,
I, I mean,
we should be so lucky to have it be media hype.
I know, I know. I mean, I was,
We'll never know the full scope of this, like until they figure out like a way to test everybody.
right,
No one really knows how many people have it, because and then the idea that there's they say 25% of people are asymptomatic, and the difficulty with that is like if you're not symptomatic, you're not getting tested, because
right.
unless you have like the money to get tested,
Yeah,
then it's like
exactly.
you're not, no one's gonna like hear if I went to the hospital and I was like, hey, like, so I think maybe I might have it, but I'm asymptomatic. No
Yeah,
one's gonna, they're gonna turn me away and be like, idiot, there's people here who really need the test because they're showing symptoms. So it's
right,
like, how many people actually have it? And
right.
we'll never know. And it's the idea of like living like you have it is the best thing you can do, because you don't want to spread it to anybody else. So that's
That's
really
just,
what we're trying to do.
yeah, that's we're trying to do. Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to do too. I don't know. But I was talking on the first one I recorded these, we were talking to Mateo, and early on, like around the time Emerald City was on the verge of getting canceled, Mateo and I were just talking every day because in Italy it was really ramping up. And
Yeah.
he, after, like the day after it was canceled, or a few days later, he texted me a photograph of his girlfriend in like a hazmat suit. And that was like, it hadn't really touched down here except for Washington State and Oregon, I think.
Yeah.
And
Or it was in, yeah.
and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And basically his girlfriend who he lives with, her cousin got it, and they were all at dinner when he didn't know he had it. And then her mom and her aunt got it, and her
Jesus.
cousin was in the ICU on a ventilator, and her mom and her aunt were at home. They didn't have enough beds to take like a case that wasn't like in really bad situation. They were not good, but they weren't having, they were breathing okay. So
Yeah.
they sent them home with oximeters that measure your oxygen levels, and needles for Mateo and his girlfriend to come over twice a day, get dressed in a hazmat suit, give them injections. They are not medical professionals at all,
Yeah.
and they were
I know
doing,
my sister's a nurse and she had to go through years of training to be able to inject someone.
yeah. So they're having to do this because they're so overwhelmed there. And then her mom ended up in the hospital because her oxygen levels started dropping. and like she noticed, like they said, if you were 90 or above, you're okay. If you get below 90, you need to call for an ambulance. And I think like she hit 89 and they called an ambulance. By the time she got to the hospital, and it wasn't long, she needed to be on a ventilator. Like it was that
Jesus.
fast. And she's home now and she's okay. I mean, she's getting better. She's not fine, but she's improving. And when Mateo was on the podcast, I was asking how everyone's doing and asked about the cousin. And I said the cousin in present tense, and he corrected me to past tense. And we had no idea but her cousin had
Damn.
passed away from it. And that was like the podcast just went silent. It was me and Mahfoud and Mateo. It was like, whoa,
Jesus.
that really hit hard to hear that. And then his girlfriend's now has it. She's not bad. She has, I guess, what you'd call a mild case, but she has a fever and she's in bed not feeling great. But her oxygen levels are fine.
Damn.
This shit is scary, man.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of operate, and I say we meaning like pretty much everyone in our social circles. We operate thinking that this is like something that takes people who have like immune deficiencies or like older people who are like, you know, one foot in the grave, the other on a banana peel.
Right.
But in truth, younger, it doesn't care. It doesn't care
No, it
how old
doesn't
you
care.
are. You know, it's
No, you're just a host.
yeah. And there's something really, to me it seems unfair. Like it seems uh like maybe I should be able to volunteer myself up and be like, don't take a kid, you know, don't take a young
Right.
person who's like not jaded and like has big dreams and stuff like that. I know I'm not alone. I know that there's plenty of people out there who are like feeling like I would throw myself on the sword a little bit, and it's not because I've got some hero complex. It's because I really believe in youth. I believe the children are the future, my man. You know, like
I got you.
and I don't want I don't have any kids, but I don't want the kids of today to have to grow up in a world where this is a yearly occurrence. You know,
Yeah.
which it's very realistic that this could just be like, hey, this is the new normal. Like, you don't ever fucking leave your house. Like,
Yeah,
we've got
said earlier, like, is this wave one? Like, what are we in for?
I mean, the flu comes around every year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually surprised that we haven't experienced a pandemic like this, you know, in our lifetime, I guess, earlier.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, it's almost surprising that it's taken this long to happen.
Yeah, we've been watching a lot of movies about it over the past couple decades. Like, I mean, science fiction as a way of predicting things.
Yeah.
So yeah, but just real quick to get back to a few points. The reason I was telling that story about Mateo's cousin, or his girlfriend's cousin, was he got it because business had him traveling to, I don't remember the name part of Italy. It begins with an L, and it was where it first broke out in Italy, and he was traveling there for business before they knew about it. So he got it. They eventually ended up testing everyone in the town, and it was like near 100% of them had it, whether or not they had a symptom or not. They have a test that can tell you if you had it at some point, and it was like nearly 100% of the people there had it in some form.
Wow.
And that's like that shit. To hear that is freaky. But yeah, to get back to also what you were saying, Michael, like my daughter's so upset. She keeps asking us to let her see her girlfriend. We're like, it's like, we just can't do it. And
Yeah.
I feel horrible. She's so upset, but
Can you imagine that being, how old's your daughter?
she is 17. Dude, she
Yeah,
just lost her senior year of high school. She's not gonna walk. Like all of it's, they canceled school for the year. It's over.
yeah. You
Like,
imagine that? Like at 17, like this shit doesn't, like there's no way that you can understand it. There's
no,
no way.
no.
Um, what a shame. Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange to think about being young in a time like this. It's like, oh, cool, this is the world I'm inheriting. We got like a bozo fascist leader. We've got like several wars still going on, as far as I know. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
like still going on. The longest war that the U.S. has ever been engaged in, or situation in Afghanistan. Like it's still going on.
Yeah.
Still got boots on the ground over there.
Yeah.
Uh, I was saying to Becky, I was like, man, like in our lifetime, we've seen a lot of stuff. We've seen a bunch of wars. We've seen the biggest terrorist attack on U.S. soil. We've seen now this like pandemic. And I thought, this is truly like got to be one of the most hardcore generations of them all. But then I thought, man, there's still people around who saw World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam,
Right. Right.
you know, the 9/11. It's no wonder that there's certain people whose like politics are dictated by fear. Like you've only known fear, like you've only lived that life,
Right.
and that's so much of the focus. Like I'd love to like, I think it's good and it's healing for us to like talk as friends about this shit that's going on in the world, but also like, man, I'm hyped on a lot of stuff right now. I'm happy with what's going on in my life in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
you know. And I think
We'll talk
my
about that. Like, let's talk about some positive stuff.
I think it's really cool to see, even though I haven't been as productive as I would like to be. In fact, I've been barely productive at all. I think it's really been an important time for me to kind of sit with myself a little bit and
Yeah.
to understand, hey, I always said, oh, if I just had, you know, get up in the morning and have like, not have the distraction of being able to go out and not have the distraction of work and shit like that. I was like, oh, I'll write the great American novel. I'll make the best comic ever. I'll do this and that. And then
Yeah.
you actually get it and you're like, oh, I am not that person. I'm not the grinder that I thought I was. And that's disappointing and shitty. And at first you suffer a lot of pain as a result of it.
Uh-huh.
And then you realize, oh, that isn't my default, but that makes it almost better when I do grind. You know, when I do get
Oh,
up
that's
and be
true.
like, if it was just the way that I was composed, if that's like by virtue of my genetics and biology, then I wouldn't be able to take ownership over that.
Right.
So now when I do something, it's because I've chosen to do it. I've chosen, hey, I'm gonna write today. Hey, I'm gonna draw today. I'm gonna play some music today. Whatever your mode of expression is, you can own that right now. Because you
Right.
got Netflix, you got Hulu, Prime, comic books out the wazoo. You got like all kinds of distractions. So when you get to work on something, like you can really be proud of that. Maybe for the first time ever. Because before you were just kind of running through the motions, you know?
Right. That's true.
You had built-in excuses of, oh, I've got other things going on. Now you got nothing going on. Don't go out. Stay home, make your shit.
Exactly.
And
Well,
that's hard to do, but we're gonna figure out how to do it, aren't we? You know,
yeah,
like
we definitely are. I mean, here we are doing it.
yep.
I was going to ask you, do you think it's fair to hold yourself to that assessment of you, like saying you're not just a natural grinder? I mean, these circumstances are certainly. I'm a natural grinder. I do tend to just get busy and stay busy, and I haven't been able to be myself in that regard. I've been productive from the outside looking in. It probably looks like I've been pretty damn productive, but for me, it's like I said, maybe at best 70%. It's just
Becky's got a great way of looking at that. Like she's well,
Do
I've heard you tell people to like be kind to themselves, to
Oh yeah.
yeah,
to not beat up on themselves, to
Yeah,
not
you
Right.
can't do it.
Go ahead, Becky. What were you saying?
I think like it's just not fair, you know, like if you hold yourself to this ridiculous standard when it's like not everyone can work under it, you know, you have other priorities when there's something like this going on and everybody's effective. I think you get this like psychological cloud that's kind of hanging over everybody, you know,
Right.
and it hurts to see your friends hurting. And then that idea of like, can you create under this much stress? I think
Right.
it's okay to not do that and to take some time off and to just like work out your feelings. That's not to say it's like, you know, after a while you can't wallow in it.
Right. Right.
I think
Right.
there's like a certain amount of like allocated wallowing that you're allowed to do and not feel bad about. I felt like I couldn't work for like a week when this was happening, like at the start of it. And then one day I was just like, well, I just got to draw something. And then I drew an image for my Oracle deck that I'm reprinting, and that came out pretty good. So I was like, well, I feel like maybe now that was like the, you know, it's like the spell was broken, or like there's like the crack in the dam or something.
Right.
And then I was the
Right.
next day I got a little bit more work done. The next day I got a little bit more work done. And I think for me it's been helpful to kind of think of this just as normal, you know, even because it's
Right.
if you wake up every morning and you're like, shit is so crazy, because it's crazy. Like you go to the grocery store and it, like they let 30 people in at a time and you have to wait in a line with 6 feet in between each other, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just a different way of living. But then you're all and you get home and you've got to like, you know, sanitize yourself and washing your hands all the time and like don't touch your face and remembering all these rules. But it's like, but that's just, you're still going to the grocery store, you still have to buy like the necessities, you know, like that's still
Right.
normal. So it's
Right.
just a matter of like switching your perspective a bit and being like, okay, I just have to adjust to this.
Exactly.
So that
That's great.
yeah, so then you're not thrown off completely, you're only thrown off like a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're
And
right.
then you can
You're so
yeah
right.
focus the rest of it on work, because then it's like, you know, and it is hard too when you see, it's hard to be like, oh, I'm going to sit down and like draw a picture today while countless people are suffering in the world. But I mean, I guess countless people suffer in the world all the time anyway, but this is like,
Right.
you know, on such a massive scale, it's like the entire world is affected. So I don't know, it's hard to,
Yeah.
it makes you think, it really makes you think.
Yeah.
It's just
I agree. I mean, I've been very easy on myself with it, but I've also found that drawing has been just a great thing to have in my life right now. I can just get involved with a piece of artwork and it kind of calms me, and it's almost like a meditative state you can get into just to give your mind a break from all the stress and worry of everything.
the other day I was drawing a picture and I couldn't get the arm, like angle on the arm for whatever reason. It just wasn't working in like the hand. Like I couldn't get the energy for it. I just couldn't do it. And it was driving me crazy. Like I was just erased. It's like you draw, erase, this kind of thing. And then the
Right.
whole day you look up and you're like, I haven't done a single thing because all I've done today is just erase this stupid arm. And then it was like, oh, it's kind of nice to be angry about not being able to draw
Right.
instead of like,
Right.
you know, consumed by like the existential dread of, you know, apocalypse, pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. This is nuts.
Yeah. It's I would like to like dedicate more time during this to like revisiting some of the stuff that I love, you know, in terms of like TV shows and music and stuff like that.
Yeah. I like what?
I've just been like struggling to get to that place where even I can do that. So it's like
Right.
it's kind of fun, but to see when the rules are loosened up and I'm allowed to like potentially lay on the couch all day, I can't even do that. But I'd like to rewatch. There's this old British show called The Prisoner that I love super much, and Becky and I went to Port Marion, which is where they filmed big portions of that show.
Oh,
actually,
awesome.
the bulk of the show was filmed there. And I think, Becky, you've seen like a couple episodes of it, but I don't think you've ever like really.
I've never done a full-on like watch of it. Like I remember it from when I was a kid, vaguely. Like I remember like the big ball that would follow him around, and then I think I watched a couple episodes. Cameron Stewart's a big fan of The Prisoner, and years ago he was talking about liking it, and I think I watched an episode or two and was just like, I don't know. Like it didn't stick with me, but I like Michael's enthusiasm for it, so I like sharing his passion.
Right.
Yeah, she's cool like that.
She's cool. That's awesome to hear. I love that.
Yeah, Michael puts up with my cozy mysteries and like Regency romance.
But you know, we've got the Godzilla box set. Becky did some art for that.
Yes.
And I keep meaning to be like, oh, I'm just gonna do a damn Godzilla day. And so it's, yeah, like I say, it's kind of fun right now. Like you can like set up little missions for yourself. Like,
so have you been doing that?
I mean, we've watched a bunch of, so we did, like everybody else in the world right now, we watched Tiger King. You know, it was cool. I don't know, we both got back into video games, which is like kind of toxic for me. Like I need to stop.
Why?
Because I cannot just casually play. I gotta go full tilt boogie. I'm in the world. I'm playing Witcher right now. And I've never played it before. I've never been like that type of video game person, but at first I was like, man, fuck this. Sorry about the swears. I don't know if
you
that's
can
allowed.
swear all you want. You can swear all you want.
Right. But yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna like spend all this time playing this dumb game. And then I just, out of sheer desperation, I stuck with it. And now I kind of love it. But I've put in so many hours now that it started to lose its charm. So I'm not as hung up on it as I was. But
when you say it's not usually your type of game, what does that mean? Like, what kind of game is it?
If I had to play a game, it would be like Tetris. I love Tetris. I failed geometry because I didn't even own it. My friend had one of those graphing calculators that had Tetris on it, and I would just borrow it. Yeah, I would borrow his calculator and just sit there playing Tetris all day. I don't know. I've intentionally kind of willed myself away from video games because I know that I've got kind of that addictive personality where I'll sit down and then 8 hours will go by and I'll be mad at myself.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I get super into games. So I haven't tried Animal Crossing because I know I would like 600 hours would go by like that, and it would be like, well, there goes April, May, and June for me.
And that's no disrespect to people who love playing video games. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't think playing video games is a waste of time. I think it's just like, for me, I'm on a mission over here. I'm trying to make as much stuff as I can. I don't know how long I got on this rock, and I wanna make a ton of stuff before I go. And that's my thing.
And I also want to play Skyrim again and maybe support the Imperials this time because I've never done that before. So that's what I'm trying to do.
and I can respect that. I
Yeah.
really, really can.
I can't.
Look, the Dark Brotherhood needs me.
Listen, I don't want you running with them. Becky gets involved with these no good nicks in Skyrim, and she's better than that. She doesn't need to be involved with these no good nicks.
She likes a little
Yeah,
bit.
I just pledged allegiance to like a Daedric lord, so I'm,
What's a Daedric?
it's like a demonic prince.
I can't back that move. I don't know what you're doing over there. I don't even know who you are anymore. She's messing around.
But Michael, maybe she sees something in you that you didn't know about yourself.
That I'm a Daedric lord?
Mm-hmm.
I should hope not. But yeah, kind of returning to the subject of like being happy. I really think that being happy sometimes, not for everyone, but sometimes it can be a choice.
Yeah.
And kind of situations such as these like kind of force you have to actively make that choice in today's world. You have to say to yourself, I'm going to allow myself the freedom to be happy, because I think a lot of people feel guilty if they say, hey, this staying at home situation right now, even though it's like hurting me financially and stuff like that, maybe you're getting to spend more time with your kids, get to know your kids a little bit better, getting to like reconnect with your loved ones.
For sure.
Like your loved ones that you live with, like, do stay home, like don't
Right.
But yeah, there's potential there. There's potential to have fun with the time that you have. Like, pick up a board game. Becky and I like playing board games. We haven't played one in a while because we've both been on like our video games so much, but like you can make something of this time. And it doesn't have to be like I said, this fanciful idea of, oh, I'm going to go create the great American novel. It can be something small. It can be discovering that you like building puzzles with your wife or something. It can be, these are cool things. And it's stuff that like normally we have to be so concerned about everything else that we don't have the opportunity to explore these little whimsies that we got. But here it is. Like, whether you asked for it or not, get to know yourself.
Yeah, it's true, man. That's very true. Yeah,
like
I mean,
I had pretty much stopped. I don't see myself as like an artist or anything, and I had kind of stopped drawing at all. Like, I just didn't want to do it. Like, I'd rather spend my time writing, which is my like real discipline. But I've found like drawing during this time has been like a great way to get out of my head. And I think there's like plenty of people like that who are discovering new elements of who they are, or rediscovering things. So
yeah, I mean, I saw you drawing a lot more on social media, and that's when I was like, oh, if I could get both of them on, that'd be awesome.
yeah, I really appreciate that. It's been fun. I'm sure I don't like people that are watching this are probably watching me kind of stumble around on Photoshop here, and they're like, this fool doesn't know what he's doing. And you're 100% correct. I don't know what I'm doing, and I encourage you to go do something that you don't know what you're doing. It's a great way to forget about the pain of being alive right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of painting lately, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but
You say that, but look at what you're doing.
I mean,
That's
it's coming out
ridiculous.
decent. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so I know a little bit of what I'm doing, but like I've just learned to listen to the painting a bit, like adding this more gold on top of the yellow was just the painting telling me it needed it. But yeah,
Oh, that's the secret. I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Man, I've been listening to everything. I've been listening to.
I don't know. It's just I come from, and you guys probably know this about me. I come from such a creative place of like control. Like when you look at my inks and stuff, it's pretty evident. So for me, it's been fun to have painting to be like. I mean, I know I say that, and you look at this like that's very controlled, but for me, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants a bunch.
That's so wild. That's a commission.
Yes.
Yo, somebody's gonna be well
Someone's
pleased
gonna
with
be
that one.
yeah, someone's gonna be stoked about that.
I hope so.
How have the essential sequestered things been going? Has there been
Those
good
have been
turnout
good.
for all?
That's where
That's
I
awesome.
got this. Well, go ahead, Michael.
I've been really impressed with what I've seen coming out of those. I haven't had the opportunity to tune in yet, but yeah, I always like get jazzed when I see like. Did you do one with Cully?
I did. I've been on a bunch of them. I mean, I just, what happened for me was, and I mean, I've explained this in detail earlier, but what happened with me was my income for March, April, and May was pretty much solely going to be based on conventions. So I just lost everything when things started getting canceled. So when Jason had the idea to do that essentially sequestered thing, I was like, all right, let's get some commissions going. And I just was on there every day trying to, just to make myself available and work on these commissions. And I ended up with a good bit of them.
That's
So
cool.
I was just always on.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that was, I mean, for people to be spending money on art right now, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very thankful for that. But I got on there as much as I could. I was on there with Cully. I was on there with Mateo at times, Dave Johnson, Klaus Jensen, Mindy's on there a lot. I think Tommy Lee was on there too. I've just made myself very available.
That's cool.
We haven't done them in a while. Jason's getting down a lot. I'm trying to call him every day.
Oh man,
Check
that
in with
sucks.
him. I mean, it's like that's his whole business, and it just is all that. Like for me to lose those months of income, it's like he lost it too.
Yeah.
So it's nice that I can get commissions because that's money for both of us. But yeah, so
Yeah, it's a
he
rough
hasn't
time.
been doing them that much lately. I spoke to him yesterday about getting him up and going again, just to have something to do. But
it's so stupid because it's not stupid actually, but it can seem like everything's so trivial, like it trivializes everything.
yeah,
Like back in December, I sent off to have a pin made,
me
and
too.
it just came in like earlier this week on Monday. So it was really exciting to see these pins that I made. Like
Right.
everything just got held up because the factory is in China. It was actually the factory. I go through Pin Game Strong, and Greg, who's in charge there, he's been over there and like uses all the machines, so he knows so much about like how each pin is made, so he can like help us setting our pins up to like be the best that it can be. And his team is really like focused, and the factory is like a family run business, and it's like really small, and he's met everyone who works there. And so I feel good. It's outside of Wuhan, like a couple 100 miles. So they were affected, like they were shut down completely. Then like couldn't leave.
That's exactly what I went through. The guy I was using is who Jim uses, and he, like, when I started ordering the pin, he was like, our factory's shutting down because of the virus. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So they had a second factory that was somewhere else, but I was like, I just want to wait for the normal dudes who make the pin to do it, because they always come out so great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy with it. But apparently the pins were made, but like the day quarantine hit, they hadn't been shipped out yet. Like the FedEx label was created, so I got a notification that they were shipping, but they were just like unable to ship. The way their place is like so far outside the city, someone has to drive for like 2 hours to actually drop it off at a FedEx place. Like it's when I learned that, I was like, oh my God, like so every time they do a shipment, someone's got to like pick it up and drive it to FedEx for like, it's like a 2.5 hour drive or something.
Wow.
So and no one there thankfully got sick, which was nice to hear.
That's good.
Yeah, and I got the pins in the other day and they look great. And I'm going to put them up on Friday. Oh, that's tomorrow. Yeah, I'm putting new pins up tomorrow. But I also was like really struggled with that decision, because it's like how can I put pins up and like ask people to spend their money on something that is like, it seems trivial, you know? It's like, oh, it's just a pin. But then a lot of people I talked to were like, no, people want to, you know, support artists, and people want something that's going to make them happy. And like,
Yes.
so what I've done is I'm putting up like a portion of them. I think I made 100, so I think I'm going to put up like 60 or 70 and just have those up, and then hold the rest for when things kind of like get back to normal. And if anyone wants one that wasn't able to have one, like I'll be able to put up a second round of them, you know?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's, you know, it's because when I posted about it, I had a few people message me being like, oh, I really want one, but like I can't afford it. And it's like, well, I mean, I will do what I can, you know? Like I don't want to.
That's great.
I don't just want to sit on things, because then I've got like, you know, I've already got a few prints that I've made that are ready to go that are just, they're just kind of being held now, because I don't feel like it's right to put something up like that. But also like, you can't wait. I just want to be normal, you know? I'm just trying to do things like I normally do.
I'm kind of, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, and it's put me in a weird position, because I've also like, I still have to make money.
Yeah.
I'm like, I started this Kickstarter for a new art book before this virus thing ever happened, and it's got like a week left, and just I'm losing, like people are pulling their pledges, and it's like,
Oh no.
I get it, but I'm close to my goal still. It like goes up a little, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, and it's like I have trouble like trying to like advertise it and get people to do it. It's asking so much right now. But
yeah, I think there's a lot of people right now who made big investments into getting stuff done for around this time of year, and now it's like, damn, like everyone was like getting hyped on, you know, I'm gonna make a bunch of stuff for the cons, and I'm gonna, in my case, it was like I was prepping a bunch of pitches for right now, you know, which that's a huge investment of time, and now it's, I mean, that's, I don't even know how to like email an editor right now and be like, hey, that thing that we were talking about, is that still going on? It's like, it doesn't seem right to be like, hey, are we still doing this like thing that I was really excited about? Because like the world's on fire. But who knows? I mean, I'm nervous about the comic industry in general, but I'm like not nervous about me doing what I'm going to be doing. You know, I like, I'm just going to keep doing stuff, and hopefully the situation kind of rights itself and we're all able to do our stuff. But like, if my life has to change, then so be it. You know, like I'm trying to roll with the punches a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing you can really do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all you can do. But I
And
agree.
I also don't think it's bad for you or for anyone listening to like to email an editor and just check in on not just the project, but just to make sure that everyone's doing okay. You know, like I don't think that
Yeah.
there's a I don't think it's gross. I think it's normal. I think it's a normal thing to like write to an editor about. So if
Yeah.
anyone's like in the same position, you know, I don't think that there's anything wrong with like shooting someone an email.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, we have to survive as well. I mean, it's hit. I mean, at least I know, like for me, it's hit us hard. My wife's she's an esthetician, so she works in the spa, and they just closed down
Oh man.
this whole thing. So it's just I've got like we just have to survive somehow. We've got to figure that out.
Yep, and that's it's going to be interesting times. You know, like for a long time, it's going to be interesting times. There's an old there was like a curse. I think it was like I don't know, like a thing, like a Chinese curse, where it was, "May you live in interesting times." And I remember when I first like heard about that curse, I was like, that doesn't sound like a curse at all. You know, that sounds like. But now we know, like, interesting means dramatic and scary and uncertain.
Right.
Well, it certainly is interesting.
Yeah. With the right amount of attitude adjustment, we can hopefully change our perspective on that and be like, well, you know, this is interesting, and what can I do to be a better member of the global community? What can I do to be more compassionate and caring? And it's these little like micro changes. If everyone kind of uses a little bit of this time to meditate on what they can do to come out of this improved, then we'll have like a real chance as a species. If we don't meditate on this and like try and improve ourselves, then it's just going to keep going the same way, and going the same way isn't working. You know, we have to change something. We have to become better. We have to. Becky and I, we do our like our web sales, like we do it all ourselves at home. For a while we were working like with other people, and we just kind of, the time came for us to take total control of it. And Becky was kind of setting up, like getting all the stuff that we mail our products in, and it was kind of a significant hike in price to get these like eco-friendly packing materials. And but it was worth it to us, you know. There wasn't even much of a conversation about it. It was like, should we do this? Yes. Like, we have a chance here to do like one little thing, one little karmic bump.
Right.
And recently this subject came up on like a Facebook group that we're both part of, and somebody like was kind of shitting on her for making a moral like, for somebody who was, this other company came up that
it was a conversation about shipping supplies and like, where do you get your packing supplies? And I was like, we use Eco Enclose, and they're great. Like, they have compostable packing supplies, they've got biodegradable tape, they've got even labels are and the bubble mailers are like recycled. Like, everything's like, it's a great small company, progressive, like really earth friendly. Like, then this is the kind of thing that, like Michael was saying, like this is just, it's a no-brainer for us to do, you know.
Right.
And someone else mentioned using Uline, which is a huge company, and they offer everything, and everything's super cheap, but the people who own it are notoriously like, they donate millions of dollars to Republican campaigns, and like that's not what we're about. So I
Right.
was like, this is like, they may offer a wide selection of things at a cheap price, but sometimes, and I can't say that it's necessarily like everything, but sometimes when you are able to make a choice like this in something that is like our business, it represents us, and it's a big part of what we do. Like, we order so many envelopes. And it's like, if I'm going to support someone, it's going to be a small business that's like really focused on making eco-friendly products, rather than someone who's going to support people that are their values are complete. I can't even use the word values in quotes, because it's like, what do you value, like undercutting other people's rights? Not to get super political on here, but
Right.
we lean pretty left in this household. In this house, we are liberals.
Yeah, I mean, mine too.
Yeah, and it's like, I just said something like, hey, just because when I found that out about Uline, I stopped using them for like, I think I ordered some tubes from them because I needed some super fast, and I was having trouble sourcing them from other places.
Yeah.
But I've since found other places to get tubes, so that's it. But when I found out, I was like, well, I can't order from them again, and it affected my decision. So I just posted in the discussion like, hey, just so you know, like, this is why I don't use Uline, and this is why I use a different company, which I
Right.
posted the link to. And then someone was just like, well, that's really sad that you let your politics like dictate where you buy from, and I was like, well, don't be sad, like, I'm
Yeah.
perfectly happy with the decision
pretty-
that I've made,
It's
and
pretty
I think other
normal.
people, who share the same views as I do would also want to know that, if they didn't already. I mean, you can look up like their aggressive politics. It's like, it's a company that is so aggressive in their politics, they'll put it in their like books that they send out to people, their catalogs.
Oh,
So
really?
it's like, I just don't want to be a part of that.
And it's your right to make that decision.
Exactly, and that's fine. I'm
And
sure.
I just thought that it was so strange that, like, whatever about the politics shit, like, whatever about that, like,
Uh,
yes, I think there's like a battle to be fought there, and I'm like, I by no means want to be aligned with the right wing in this country, but like, the main issue for me was like, hey, these things like don't have a negative effect on the environment as much
right.
as like
Yeah.
these other things. Like, what's the argument? What
Yeah.
is the argument? Like I
Right.
said earlier, like, I put a huge premium on kids, and I don't want to like leave behind a trash heap for the kids. We
Totally.
gotta do it for the young people, damn
Yeah,
it.
we got to do it for the young. You got to support the young people.
You gotta support the young people by making better choices and like kind of showing the path of not living like this thing is never gonna run out. Like, we
Right.
we'll run out. Like, take it easy. Like, we're gonna run out.
Yeah. And I mean, like, my hope is that what we're going through now, I mean, for me, I'm very much about trying to support small mom and pop local businesses over corporations as much as I can.
As
And
much as you can. That's a critical thing to say. Like, it's
Yeah.
within your means.
yes,
Like, I get it. Sometimes, like, if you're broke and you're trying to live on the cheap, sometimes like running over to Walmart to get your stuff is going to be like the best choice for you and your family,
right,
we'll say.
right.
So I'm not trying to knock that, but if you can afford to shop, buy something at something locally owned where they care about the
Yeah,
people of the town, like, do it.
absolutely. And so every time, like, I mean, like I said, our money just vanished, but we still like are trying to get some carry out or delivery every maybe once a week, so the kids have just something something.
Yeah.
Right.
But
We do the same thing. We had like once a week we'll get sandwiches from like our favorite. I mean, there's like a vegan sandwich shop,
yeah.
a
So
couple miles from our place.
I just make sure the kids understand, like, whatever place we pick, I want it to be small, like local, like just a small local business. I don't want to go to a chain right now at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, luckily, my kids are little foodies, so they get it too. But yeah, it's just been important. Like, we don't have a lot of money to spend, but we went into this like little Mexican place near us. Husband and wife. The husband does the cooking, she runs the floor, and it's just a little family joint. And the food is delicious. And we've been running outside, and the like lap is kind of around where this restaurant is. And after we were done running, we were like, we really can't afford it, but I do want to go just give them some business. So we went and got tacos and brought them home.
No, that's
I just think
nice.
that stuff's so important right now.
That sounds like a win-win.
It was. Dude, it's such a
There's
win.
no losing in that situation.
No,
That's great.
no, they were delicious.
Yeah.
They're good. But yeah, this is a tricky time. And I agree with everything you're saying, Michael. We're like, yeah, there's some stuff going on with the business and the industry of comics right now that might be forever changed, but none of it worries me or bothers me. I know in the end, it's not going to take away my ability to do what I do, and I will find a way to get it out there. And I've also been more and more just leaning into and towards just doing things myself.
Yeah. Becky and I were talking about this just the other day. There's no greater feeling than having done everything exactly the way that you wanted it and doing it by yourself. That way, when you look at the thing at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, that is me. Like that is all me. For all it's good, bad, and indifferent, that's
And
me.
spelling errors.
Yeah.
Speaking for myself.
No, believe me, I know that game all too well.
But yeah, I think that's a great feeling, especially if you're producing something creative, to just say, with all its flaws, this is my unfiltered vision.
Yeah. And some people don't have that ever in their life. Some people never create anything, and that's not my path.
Oh no.
But I wonder like where they're getting their soul food from, for lack of a better term. Like where, like, it's just such like a strange foreign concept to me that I'd be really interested to hear like what standard people do right now, because everyone that I know is, and everyone that I'm friends with certainly has passions that they're feeling like they aren't working on enough right now.
Right.
And I wonder what it's like if you don't have those kind of passions. Like, are these the people that are going out to spring break even though it's toxic to do so? Like, is that what you do? You just
I don't know, man.
live wild?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of why I decided to, not that I decided, but really dedicated myself to doing this. Was there was just no other way. I just couldn't see myself ever being happy, like not doing this every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. That's I'm the only person in my family who draws. So it's my sister also lives in Austin, and she's had a pretty rough year, but she's a nurse, and that's kind of like been her thing, is like she's like, well, I can't draw, but nursing is my passion. She's done she's done like pediatric nursing. She's worked in she's worked with the elderly. She's done a lot of like home care stuff. She's right now she's at a nursing home. So yeah, it's fun to talk to her sometimes because we don't relate to each other at all.
Right,
But
right.
she's still my sister, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I am in my family. I'm kind of the odd one. But luckily my house, my wife and my kids, it's just a house of creative people, and there's always creating going on. Whether it's music or drawing or sculpting or jewelry making, there's just always stuff going on in there like that.
Oh, that's
That's
fun.
great.
Yeah, that's been really that's been really special. Especially my son, he's just this creative prodigy. He's not even aware of it.
They never are.
No.
Not until later. Then they get spoiled. Like later on, somebody will tell them that they're great, and then it'll kind of ruin it potentially. But I do think it's important to cheer people on. I think it's good to be critical of people, but the people that got best at basketball and stuff when I was young were like the people who had parents that were invested in their b-ball
Right.
and were like, oh, you're dope, like go do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, I do hear from parents every now and then, especially when I was teaching. They just have no idea how to nurture a child who has interest in the arts.
Yeah, I don't know if many people do though.
Yeah.
Some kids don't need nurturing. Some kid like Becky doesn't need you. She very rarely will be like, hey, what do you think about this thing that I've drawn? She's just cool to do it. She's cool to like
Right.
like I'll go and be like, hey, what are you working on today? And tell her how rad she is. But she doesn't need that.
It's appreciated though. I quite like it.
Yeah.
I meant more in the sense of like if you're a parent and you've got this 4-year-old who loves drawing and they have no idea how to like what
Oh yeah, well it's cute when your kid's 4, but then when they're in high school and they're like, I'm gonna be a comic book artist, that's when they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I know. That's
Wake up. That's not a
that adversity.
Yeah. So that's the problem that I ran into as growing up, I think.
Me too. That was a
I
hard
didn't even entertain the thought of doing any of this stuff professionally.
Yeah, you went straight into like career.
Yeah.
Did you, Michael?
Yeah, I worked in the mental health field for like 20 years.
Did you really?
Yeah, with a number of different populations, everything from people on the autism spectrum to people who had suffered traumatic brain injury, people that were 5150 and needed to get some like cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was everything from like boots on the ground guy, like working directly with people, to working administratively. So working both in like micro and macro capacities.
Right.
And I did that, and it was super depressing, man. Super depressing, because you're just around people who are having the worst day of their life every day. And my job was to kind of walk them through that a little bit and try and be strong when they needed somebody to be strong for them. And then I started really feeling like I was bringing it home. I started feeling like,
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah, I felt like I was a sin eater. I felt like I was the person who was, let me take your pain and bring it home. And then I didn't have anybody like taking care of my needs. I wasn't seeing a therapist. I wasn't even really talking to friends about it. So eventually I was just so burnt out on it that I quit my job, and I was going to barbering school. I was like, I just want to do something that's like make people feel good, but not, not such like a critical role in their life.
Right.
And while I was like barbering school was 8 hours a day for like a year, and maybe a month and a half into it, I went through like this really bad breakup, and I was like living in my car and all this crazy shit. But I made it through. Yeah, like I stuck with the barbering school, and I would go to barbering school during the day, and then right when I got off, I would go over and work at this mental hospital, and did that for a year. And I was homeless for big stretches of it, but I like stuck with it, and then cut hair for a little bit after that, and then I got really lucky and sold Tremor Dose to Comixology Originals, and that kind of gave me enough to live off of. So I was like, okay, great, I'm doing it. I'm gonna be like a comic book boy. And now that like the industry is like changed, I might go back to cutting hair or something. Like the money ain't there, but I'll never stop. Like,
Yeah, I think we can find out how to make the money there. That's possible. I think right now making any decisions is silly because we don't know what's coming right now, but we'll
right.
all adapt, we'll all adjust, and we'll find opportunities. I mean, for me, I've figured out a lot of things I can do because of what we're living through now too. Like this streaming thing is brand new to me, and it's got me thinking about all these different creative things I can do with this webcam now. I mean, I like my commission list filled up so fast. I'm not used to that. That was nice, but I also just threw myself into painting. I just offered painted commissions. Like I took on 5 at the end of last year, and I really haven't painted that much. So that's been fun too.
Yeah, well, you're ingenuitive, and you've always got something going on, which is, why I love talking to you.
Oh,
Well, it's not the only reason why, but it's always inspiring,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm always trying. It may not hit, but I feel like if I just keep trying, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's same. I feel the same way. Just keep trying.
Yeah, that's the best. Okay, well, that's such a like great closing line, unless you guys had something you were hoping we'd get to today to talk about.
No, I think this has been pretty damn cathartic. I hope
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
I hope that for the people listening that everyone hopefully, if there's like a strength to be taken from this conversation, it's just knowing that like we are all in this together.
Exactly.
Every single one of us, we are all in it together. Like we're a family now, people. Like everyone that creates things, everyone that dreams, everyone that's striving to be a little bit better, we're in it together. We're a team, and it's hard and scary right now, but we're gonna be strong together because there's a lot of us, and we're gonna take care of each other, and that's gonna be that. And it's gonna be cool.
That's so true, and that's great.
And I just wanted to say, Sean, I love the positivity that you bring, like in your social media and everything. I'm a negative person.
Michael, you didn't know me. You didn't know me like before you met me. I was negative as hell.
Well, I really like. I love getting picked up by like just that you'll do just like a quick little thing online, like a reminder, like, hey, like get on your grind, get your meditation going, get your, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
little things like that, like really count. Like I say, I worked in the mental health field. Like I'm no noob to self-care.
Right.
I just don't always practice it well, and sometimes hearing it from a friend or somebody even that you don't know too well online can really change the way that your day is going to go. So I also want to encourage people, like, quit with the negative stuff online. Like
Yeah, I agree.
be negative with your partner. Like I'll talk trash to Becky or whatever. Like
I know.
don't be negative. Like be kind to your partner, but like if you got something nasty to say, like just say it to your partner, and you two can have your little laugh, and then like you don't gotta broadcast it online. People are gonna get hurt. People are gonna have a harder day because of you being rude. Just don't do it.
Yeah, that's great. I agree. All right, I'm gonna thank you guys for coming on here. And
Yeah, of course.
if you want to, I mean, my goal is, as long as we're living this way, I'm gonna try to just do 3 of these a week, I think, maybe
Yeah.
more. So if you do want to come back, or if you want to jam, like, I can bring other people in too. We can have a whole party on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to come back, and let's not talk about the plague or anything next time. I got some stories to tell. We can just have
Yeah.
story time.
All right, so let's do that. I'll turn this off, and then we can talk about it or email and figure that out. That'd be awesome.
Sounds
All right,
good.
bud. Hey,
Uh,
we love you, man.
you guys.
Yeah.
All right,
Take
so
care
Yeah.
of yourself.
I'm gonna press you too. I'm gonna press stop, but we'll still be on. Okay, so hold on.
Okay, cool.